Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the COE seminar series for 2021. First, I would like to acknowledge the Bindal and Wulgarukaba peoples as the traditional owners of the lands and waters where we live and work here at the COE in Townsville, and we honour their elders past, present and emerging. I'm delighted to introduce Isabel Ender as our speaker this week. Many of you may know Isabel from her time as a master's student at JCU or as a project leader for the Minke Whale project, but Isabel has also spent time at Save Our Seas Foundation and the Manda Trust. And what I find really great about Isabel's work is that she finds that really important intersect between research, policy, communication and community outreach, which is great for us and for the Great Barrier Reef, as she now works with Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service as Communications Officer for the Great Barrier Reef and Marine Parks region. Today, Isabel will tell us about the Reef Joint Field Management Program, which plans and delivers the on-ground actions to protect the Great Barrier Reef World Heritage Area. And the program is run jointly by the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority and QPWS, with collaborations with government organisations, First Nations peoples, research institutions, industry and the community. And Isabel is joined today by other key members of the program, including Mark Reid, the Assistant Director of Field Management Strategy at Gabrumpa, Principal Advisor Jackie Chappell from Gabrumpa, and Graham Hempson, Principal Ranger through QPWS. And Mark, Jackie and Graham have kindly agreed to join Isabel for a Q&A session at the end, so keep all your burning questions for them. So please join me in virtually welcoming all of our guests today, and I'll pass over now to Isabel for the seminar. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, well, thanks so much for everyone that joined today. And I'm really excited to tell you a little bit more about protecting the Great Barrier Reef World Heritage Area through partnerships and on-ground actions. So I'm Isabel Ender. I work with Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service as their communications officer. And as Eva mentioned before, I've got 3 additional people here with me today. So I've got Dr. Mark Reid, Mrs. Jackie Chappell, and Dr. Graham Hempson, who will be there to answer all your really tricky questions at the end of this talk, so I don't have to deal with it. So yeah, definitely think of lots of questions. We'll have plenty of time at the end. As Eva mentioned, I have been around JCU for almost 10 years now. So I did my master's in 2011, 2012. Did a little bit of work with the Minke Whale project throughout my degree and afterwards, and then started working with the Manta Trust NGO, leading our global manta and devil ray conservation program. So as part of that, I was involved in research in various countries around the world, in a lot of policy work, some community outreach, and then also got into the comms and media space. So one of the big parts of my role was to communicate to our funders what we were doing with their money, that their money was making an impact on the ground and giving them progress on our work. And so I got really interested in just how powerful that part of our work is, because if we're doing a great job but we don't know how to sell it to them, they're not going to give us more money. So I got really interested into sort of the comm space. And then also in 2017, 2018, I got involved with the PhysioShack project through Dr. Jody Rammer. So I set up all the social media and comms and the local outreach in French Polynesia for that project, which was great fun, got me more into the comm space. And here I am as a communications officer, and the journey continues, I guess. It's been a fun 10 years and I'm excited what's ahead as well. So most of my work in this role is about the Reef Joint Field Management Program. So as Eva mentioned, this is a program that is run jointly between the Australian and Queensland governments, so between the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority and the Department of Environment and Science through Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service. The program plans and delivers on-ground actions to protect World Heritage Area, which includes Commonwealth and state marine parks, so Commonwealth island zones and island protected areas, as outlined in the Reef 2050 plan and the Reef Blueprint report. And it plays a really proactive role in maintaining the value and building resilience of the World Heritage Area while global efforts to address, the bigger issues, climate change and water quality, are taking effect. The program is not just a partnership between the two governments, it's got loads of different partnerships. For instance, with First Nations people, we work very closely with traditional owners, and that is guided by the authorities' Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander heritage strategy for the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park and the Department of Environment and Science Gura Gura framework. So we have some clear frameworks that guide our work with the traditional owners. When it comes to compliance and incident management, we work with a whole range of partners such as Maritime Border Command, DAF, Queensland Police Service, the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions, the Australian Federal Police. And when it comes to incidences, we also work with AMSA and the Maritime Safety Queensland Group. The program also works together with interest groups such as researchers and volunteers. For instance, when it comes to marine animal strandings or seabird surveys or marine debris collection, we work very closely with volunteer groups up and down the coast. And then we also have an MOU with the Coral Sea Marine Park to enable complementary management strategies, information sharing, and administrative efficiencies. So as you can see, it's got a lot of ties to a whole range of stakeholders and partners, which I think makes this program particularly strong. So just a little bit of background on how the program is set up. So we have the Great Barrier Reef Intergovernmental Agreement, which establishes that governance framework, and that specifies that there is 50-50% base funding. So 50% of the funding for all our work comes from the Australian government and 50% from Queensland. And the program is governed by a strategy group, which is made of senior executives from Gabramper, DES, and the Department of Premier and Cabinet, and they meet 3 times a year and report to a ministerial forum. And the strategy group is advised by an operations group, which is made up of managers from Gabramper and QBWS. And the program also has a really well-established business planning and reporting framework. So we develop a 5-year business strategy, an annual report summary, and a 5-year periodic review. So there's a lot of sort of reviewing and documenting of the work that we're doing and constantly looking at sort of how can we keep improving and where do we need to sort of tweak our priorities where needed. And up here in this diagram, you can see, so we've got 5 program priorities of the Reef Joint Field Management Program, and they feed into those 9 intergovernmental agreement outcomes. And over the next few slides, I'll talk you through each one of those program priorities just to explain a little bit more about what that means. So our first one is delivering conservation actions. It's one of the first priorities of the program. We take direct conservation actions to protect the reef, islands, and marine species. And these include coral reefs, seagrass meadows, mangrove forest, cays, continental islands, threatened species, and also cultural heritage. And possibly one of our most famous projects that we've been involved in with, again, a range of other partners is the Rein Island Recovery Project, where we help to restore the world's largest green turtle rookery, doubling the amount of viable nesting beach through sand reprofiling, so bringing the sand level a little bit higher up. And that means that now, in addition to that and other work such as fencing and other work that we've done there, every year there are now 100,000 more hatchlings in the Northern Great Barrier Reef green turtle population. So that's probably one of our flagship projects, and there's a range of others under this priority. Our second program priority is checking for change. So we check for change on the reef and on islands, which includes looking at seabirds, monitoring seabirds, looking at reef health, and also crown of thorns starfish outbreak to determine the extent and of existing and emerging threats. So for instance, when it comes to cods, the rangers do a lot of the surveys trying to looking for any sort of evidence of cods anywhere, and then record that, and that information gets passed on to Gabramper, to the COTS control team, so then those boats can be more targeted towards the right places with the resources that we have. So again, working really closely together and trying to make the maximum use of the resources that we have. We respond to incidents such as vessel groundings and sinkings and pollutions, bushfires, coral bleaching, pest incursions, stranded marine animals, and extreme weather events. So for instance, in the Whitsundays, our staff were really instrumental in cleaning up after Cyclone Debbie in 2017 and establishing a range of new infrastructure to support the Whitsundays tourism industry. So again, that's a big part of the program. The fourth priority of the program is to welcome people and improve community understanding of what heritage area values and threats. And we aim to foster responsible behavior and provide visitor facilities, both on islands and on the water. So not just sort of, the walking tracks and the platforms that you see, but for instance, the public moorings and the reef protection markers that you see in the water. And over the last 3 years, we've actually doubled the number of public moorings in the Great Barrier Reef to minimize the damage of anchors on coral reefs. So there's a lot more public moorings now to try to minimize that impact, but still enable people to go visit the reef and spend time out on the reef. And then finally, our fifth priority, which is a really, really important one of this program, is to uphold compliance to marine park zoning. So compliance is really crucial to support reef island and species resilience, particularly within our changing climate. And it targets the threat that direct users pose to the World Heritage Area. And as part of this program, we deliver risk-focused, well-planned, and intelligence-driven patrols to detect and deter illegal activities, such as fishing in the green zones. And some of you might not know that this partnership has actually been going on for over 40 years, since 1979. And I guess like any long partnerships, it has up and down, but we're still going strong. And last year we celebrated our 40-year anniversary. So I have a little video here for you. And just to give you a little bit of an overview of sort of where we started and where we're at right now. And last year, we actually reached a really great milestone as well, because we won the 2019 Prime Minister's Gold Award for Excellence in Public Sector Management. So this award was given to the program in recognition of a transformed Great Barrier Reef Joint Field Management Program that's meeting the 21st century challenges. So it's applauding the way the joint programs collaborated and modernized its approaches to tackle unprecedented threats to the World Heritage Area, delivered unwavering on-ground outcomes, and fostered strong relationship with traditional owners and the community. So we're very proud to receive that award, and it's sort of helping us to keep moving forward with further confidence as well that we're doing a great job. At the moment, the program is actually going through a 5-year expansion. So in 2017-2018, the program received a significant funding boost to double its capacity. So we're now increasing to 186 staff and a fleet of 21 fast, safe, and effective vessels with vastly improved capacity to enable compliance and field work. And again, this is based on the fact that our program has a really clear and shared purpose and high standards of governance, which allow for efficiencies of resources and maximum impact. And so now that I've given you a little bit of an overview of the program, sort of where we started, how it's governed, and the priorities, for the next few slides, I want to take you through some examples of what is happening out on the reef right now. So 5 case studies of exciting projects that I think that are happening, which also show just the diversity of the work that we do as part of this program. Our first one is the Technology Transformation Program. So that's linked to our program expansion. At the moment, we're going through a 5-year technology transformation program to investigate and leverage technologies, such as the use of drones, vessel tracking, and enhanced data analysis that will improve monitoring capability, efficiency, and staff safety. So as you probably are all aware, the Great Barrier Reef World Heritage Area is huge. It's spread across 348,000 square kilometers. So managing such a vast and remote area is a real challenge. And the use of new innovative technologies is essential to deliver greater efficiency gains. And we are already trialing a couple of those technologies, and we're adding on to these now. So working together with Queensland University of Technology, and also starting to work together more closely with the Australian Institute of Marine Science. And in October last year, 2020, we did our first official field trip to test a whole range of technologies. So I have a little video to show you about that as well. Okay. Our second case study for today is about our priority of upholding compliance. So it's our compliance campaigns. As I mentioned before, compliance patrols in the marine parks are risk-based and intelligence-led, and they run day and night to detect and deter illegal activity. And the program combines those enforcement activities with some strategic communications work and engagement work to encourage voluntary compliance. And specific campaigns run, especially during high-risk periods, such as the Christmas holidays or the upcoming Easter holidays as well. So over the Christmas holidays that have just gone past, we did run a compliance campaign, and with the aim of really encouraging recreational fishers to download the Eye on the Reef app to help them better understand and comply with zoning rules. Because a lot of the times when people get caught in the wrong zone, they say, oh, we didn't know. So this is really to try to address that issue. And the maps work offline, they work on your phone, so they're really easily accessible. And the aim is to just get more and more people to actually have them on their phone and use them. So as part of this campaign, we refine the way we're trying to target the right people. So how do we get those recreational fishers that go out to the reef to have that app and use it as well? There's a little bit more sort of work that's gone into really figuring out how do we reach those people. And as a result of that, we've actually had some really great successes. We had an app installation that was up by 380% on average on the daily average compared to previous campaigns that we've run. So that's really positive. So we're sort of moving forward in that space as well and refining our approach. And more fishers now than ever are better educated and equipped to successfully comply with the zoning rules. We also are in the process of developing how to use your GPS videos at the moment, and those will be on the Gabrampa web pages as well, so that again, the excuse of, oh, I didn't know is not really an excuse anymore, because it's very clearly explained how you can use, for instance, your GPS to look at the zoning maps as well. Now, a third case study that I want to share with you all is about the Green Island Reef Rehabilitation Project. So just a little bit of background on that. In the face of a changing climate and declining conditions of many habitats in the Great Barrier Reef World Heritage Area, we're adopting a different approach to management. We can no longer rely on natural reef recovery only, but must complement foundational management with intervention actions to improve resilience and recovery of the reef. And we now actually have a policy on Great Barrier Reef interventions that's available on the Gabrampa webpage, so you can read that as well. And as recommended by the Great Barrier Reef Blueprint for Resilience, we are delivering and assisting in reef and island intervention projects. And one of those projects is the Green Island Reef Rehabilitation Project, which is a multi-stakeholder initiative that's trialing the use of the Mars reef stars and coral clips to build new stable areas of live coral from loose coral fragments. So Mars has been using those stars in Indonesia for quite a few years with some really good success on rebuilding local reefs. And this is the first time we're looking at that in the Great Barrier Reef as well. So in November last year, over 2,500 coral fragments that were found lying loose on the seabed were installed onto 165 reef stars in a 200 square meter target area at Green Island. And the trial is a collaboration between Gabrampa KPWS, Mars Incorporated, Quicksilver Cruises, and Big Cat Green Island Cruises, the Coral Nurture Program, and the Guganji traditional owners. And this project will continue for 5 years with some very detailed site monitoring to occur every 6 months to look at how the corals are going. So very interesting space. And yeah, watch the updates here. It'll be interesting as well. Our next case study that I want to share with you is about the Whitsundays. And as I mentioned before, the program provides marine and island visitor facilities for a wide range of recreation and tourism use and to minimize visitor impacts. And we also respond to incidents such as severe weather events. And as most of you might know as well, the Whitsunday Islands are some of the most popular tourism destinations in the World Heritage Area. So Tang Bay and the Hill Inlet is actually the two most visited sites. The Hill Inlet Lookout and Whitehaven Beach are the two most visited sites in the Great Barrier Reef. So lots of tourists go there. And we've worked really hard to try to recover national park tourism sites in the Whitsundays following the tropical cyclone Debbie. And works at several of these destinations have now been completed with some really amazing new facilities and experiences open for visitors. So for instance, we have a new welcoming area at Tang Bay with a lot of nice interpretive signage. We have an extra platform on the hill in that lookout. This amazing new lookout that you see on this picture is at South Whitehaven Beach, and there's a new walking track that leads to it as well. And then also at the moment, we're completing a 29-kilometer multi-day walking track called the Narrow Walking Track between Tang Point and Whitehaven Beach, which is due for completion later this year. So lots of really great new opportunities for tourists to experience the Whitsundays on land as well, and to help bring some of that tourism back to this area. Now, a final case study for today is about our cultural etiquette videos. So as I mentioned before, collaborating with recognized traditional owners and other First Nations people to manage land and sea country within the World Heritage Area is a core component of the program. And as part of our ongoing commitment to develop and strengthen relationships in this area, we're now developing cultural etiquettes videos for working respectfully on country. So initially these videos, the intent was to use them for our staff. So have traditional owners sort of share with us how they would like us to visit their country respectfully, if there are particular sites we shouldn't be going to, if there's any other particular things we should be aware of, but also sharing what it is that's so special for traditional owners to be on their land, so that we're developing a better appreciation and awareness among our staff about stepping on these islands and stepping on that land before they go. And when we produced that first video in 2019, it was really quite a special video, and we thought we asked permission to use that more widely, because it is really something that we'd love to share with more people, because I think not just our staff can benefit from watching these, but many other people. And we got the green light to go ahead with that. So the first video, which is about the Cape Melville, Flinders and Howick Aboriginal Corporation, is now available on our Cape Melville Parks webpage and the Flinders Park webpage. And we also have just completed 2 more videos with the Lama Lama and the Kukuyao. And they're really quite special. So they're on the Department of Environment and Science Parks web pages for these national parks. And now anyone can watch them if they want to get a little bit more of a personal insight to what it means to visit these parks. And I've got a short snippet here. The videos are about 10 minutes, so I'm not going to show them all to you. But I've got a short snippet because I really want to give you a little bit of a taste of it, which I'll play right now.
Home is where, to me, is where there is harmony and understanding. That's where home is, and that's where love is. You know, that is home. So if you go back to country, you love your country. That is your home. It comes from within you.
Well, firstly, being home, I feel obligated to welcome a lot of them. My mob, neighbouring countries like White, Black, Brindle. Like, I'd like to see one day we have a presence, 100% presence here on country, where we can welcome them people and say, you know, welcome to our country. This is such and such. You know, this is an area that we wouldn't like you guys to go. That sort of stuff. I think it'd be great. Sharing culture, like. If we can, work more with closing that gap, I suppose, and I think living on country and having presence and having those people come to your doorstep and we welcoming them, I think it's a benefit to all, I think.
So if you'd like to see the whole movie, please go and visit the webpage, and you'll find it under the About section about culture and history. And yeah, so that just gave you a really quick overview of the program and some of the exciting work that is happening in the reef. If you got curious and you want to learn more, hopefully, there's loads of places you can read some more. So we have our annual report, now annual report summary on the Gabrampa webpage. So that's the webpage you see at the bottom here, our work field management. And there's a little bit more information about the program on the webpage as well. You can follow us, Gabrampa, as well as QPWS on social media. And then soon we will also launch our Reef Joint Field Management Program magazine. So that's something that will come out twice a year. That will give you a little bit of that behind the scenes inside look of the case studies that I just presented to you. So you can sign up for that. There'll be a link on the same webpage, Gabrampa, where the reports are found as well, where you can sign up to receive that. And just get a little bit more of an insight into a couple of the exciting projects that are happening across the reef. And that takes me to the end and to the time for questions. Thank you very much.